That was the official word from the United Earth Council. Survived. The Varelian Empire, an ancient, disciplined, and technologically superior civilization, had crushed 14 species before us. Entire star systems burned under their doctrine of order through dominion. We lasted 8 years. 8 brutal, relentless years. And then something unexpected happened. They asked for peace. The treaty came with terms, reparations, territory concessions, military restrictions, and one final clause that silenced the council chamber when it was read aloud. A political marriage to seal the armistice. Not between rulers, not between heirs, between a Varelian high general and a human representative.
Me.
Commander Elias Vance, Earth Defense Fleet, decorated for actions at the Battle of Arcturus Reach. I had led the counteroffensive that stalled the Varelian 7th Armada long enough for evacuation corridors to open. To them, I was a symbol of resistance. To humanity, I was expendable enough to offer. She specifically requested you, the Secretary General said, hands folded on polished obsidian. General Kareth Valen, Supreme Field Commander of the Imperial Eastern Quadrant. I had seen her on tactical briefings. 7 feet tall, ash silver skin plated with natural bioarmor ridges along her shoulders. Eyes like molten gold. A strategist feared across 6 sectors. And she was 33 standard years older than me. In Varelian lifespan metrics, that meant she had commanded fleets before my grandparents were born. This isn't marriage, I said quietly. It's surrender. No, the Secretary General replied. It's survival. The General. The first time I saw Kareth Valen in person, I understood why entire civilizations folded at her name. She did not enter a room.
She occupied it.
Her armor was ceremonial, black alloy layered with violet energy filaments pulsing faintly beneath the surface. No weapons were visible, but that meant nothing. Varelians were weapons. Her gaze settled on me with unnerving calm. So this is the human who cost me 2 fleets. Her voice was smooth, controlled, curious. And this, I replied evenly, is the general who tried to burn my homeworld. A faint flicker passed through her eyes. Approval? Good, she said. You still possess a spine. The marriage ceremony took place aboard the Varelian flagship Irithvale, orbiting a neutral star. It was broadcast across both civilizations. Human analysts expected humiliation. Instead, something strange happened. When the ceremonial binding blade was presented, an ancient Varelian symbol requiring the dominant partner to draw first blood from the other as a sign of claimed authority, Kareth did not move. The chamber waited. Protocol dictated, she cut my palm. Instead, she extended the blade toward me. Gasps echoed through alien and human delegates alike. You will not kneel, she said quietly, for only me to hear. If this union is to hold, it will not be built on domination. My pulse pounded. This was unprecedented. Carefully, I took the blade and made the ritual mark across my own palm. Then, after a moment's hesitation, she did the same. Blood met blood. Equal. Across the galaxy, billions watched the moment the feared General Kareth Valen broke tradition. The galaxy didn't see it coming. Middle, the Empire tests its choice. Marriage did not mean peace. It meant scrutiny. Within days, I was relocated to the Varelian capital world of Tharziran, a planet of towering black spires and bioluminescent skies. The atmosphere shimmered faintly violet at dusk, and their cities thrummed with harmonic energy fields instead of sound. I was the alien there. Watched. Measured. Many in the Empire considered the marriage a weakness, a concession to a species they had not crushed outright. Whispers followed me through corridors. Pet human. War trophy. political ornament. Kareth heard them. She never responded publicly. Until the War Council convened. I was not meant to attend. Human participation in Imperial command sessions was unheard of. But Kareth summoned me anyway. The chamber was vast and circular, filled with towering commanders whose armor bore the scars of conquests across the stars. One spoke openly. You risk Imperial integrity for a symbolic gesture. The human is soft, primitive. Another added, his species fractures easily. They will turn on us at first advantage. Kareth's golden eyes shifted to me. Then speak, Elias Vance. Defend your kind. Every instinct told me this was a trap, but I stepped forward. You believe humans fracture? I began. You're right. We argue. We compete. We disagree violently. Murmurs of satisfaction. But when cornered, I continued, voice hardening. We unify. Not because we are commanded to, but because we choose to. Silence spread. You couldn't conquer us in 8 years, I said plainly. Not because we were stronger, but because every time you pushed, we adapted. Every time you tightened your grip, we found another way to fight. One commander sneered. Adaptation is desperation. Adaptation, I corrected, is evolution. Kareth's gaze never left me. The council adjourned without resolution. But something had shifted. For the first time, I was not decoration. I was an argument. The assassination attempt. Peace is fragile, especially when it threatens power. The attack came 3 weeks later. A dissident Varelian faction, opposed to the treaty, breached the palace energy lattice during a ceremonial address. Explosive plasma charges detonated across the outer atrium. Imperial guards fell. Chaos erupted. I saw the sniper first. Varelian optics flared differently in combat mode, subtle ultraviolet refraction. My battlefield instincts caught it. Kareth, I shouted. She turned just as the energy round discharged. Too slow. I moved without thinking. The blast struck my shoulder instead of her thoracic core. White heat consumed my vision. I remember hitting the marble floor. I remember her roar. Not a scream. A war cry. When I woke in a Varelian medical chamber, regeneration filaments threaded through my skin. Their technology was advanced. Kareth stood beside the bed, armor scorched, eyes burning brighter than I had ever seen. You acted without command, she said. You're welcome, I muttered weakly. Silence. Then, you would have died. Yeah, I admitted. That's kind of the point of taking the bullet. Something shifted in her expression. Not softness. Recognition. They attacked because of me, she said quietly. Because I chose you. No, I replied. They attacked because they're afraid. Of what? Of change. For a long moment, the general of the Eastern Quadrant simply stood there. Then she placed her clawed hand gently, carefully, over my uninjured one. In my culture, she said, voice lower now, such an act binds more deeply than ritual. The turning point, the assassination failed. But the political damage was significant. Hardliners within the empire demanded Kareth step down for compromised judgment. Instead, she did something the galaxy truly did not see coming. She proposed joint human-Varelian military integration, shared fleets, shared command structures, shared defense. Outrage followed, but she had leverage. The failed coup revealed internal instability. Human strategic adaptability combined with Varelian technological superiority would make dissent suicidal. The proposal passed by narrow margin. Training exchanges began. Varelian officers studied human guerrilla doctrine. Human engineers examined alien energy matrices. Something extraordinary happened. The combination worked. Human creativity filled the gaps in Varelian rigidity. Varelian discipline stabilized human volatility. Within a year, pirate incursions along neutral sectors dropped to near zero. Within 3 minor empires requested alliance talks. Within 5, the former enemies commanded the most stable interstellar coalition in known space. And at the center of it stood a towering alien general and the human she had been forced to marry. Private battles. Power did not erase difference. We argued. Often. Kareth valued order above all. I valued autonomy. She believed in decisive action. I believed in calculated risk. But somewhere between diplomatic summits and tactical simulations, between cultural misunderstandings and quiet evenings overlooking Narziren's glowing horizon, something deeper formed. Respect had come first. Trust followed. Affection arrived quietly. One night, years after the war, I asked her something I had wondered since the beginning. Why me? She studied the distant stars before answering. Because you were the only human commander who did not retreat when outmatched. That's why you wanted me politically, I said. But personally? She looked at me then, really looked at me. You were the only one who looked at me on the battlefield without hatred. I thought back to Arcturus Reach, to the moment our flagships exchanged fire across vacuum. I had not hated her. I had respected her. I chose you, she said softly, long before the council did, ending the legacy no one expected. 10 years after the treaty, a new threat emerged from beyond mapped space. An extragalactic incursion force, unknown, vast, merciless. Old empires would have fractured. Old rivalries would have reignited. Instead, the coalition responded as one. Human adaptability. Varelian precision. Unified command. The battle lasted 4 months. When it ended, the invaders retreated beyond dark space. The galaxy stood intact. Historians would later mark that war as the true beginning of the unified stellar accord. And they would trace its origin not to a fleet maneuver, not to a treaty clause, but to a marriage, a forced union meant to symbolize surrender. Instead, it became the foundation of strength. Years later, as I stood beside Kareth on the balcony of the Coalition Assembly, watching delegates from dozens of species argue passionately about trade tariffs instead of territorial conquest, I allowed myself a small smile. They never expected this, I said. Kareth's golden eyes glowed faintly in the twilight. No, she agreed. They expected dominance. And what did they get? She looked at me, older now, scarred, but unbowed. Partnership. Below us, humans and Varelians walked side by side through the Capitol Plaza. Children of both species studied at the same academies. Joint fleets patrolled the stars. The galaxy had feared the marriage, feared humiliation, feared imbalance. Instead, it had witnessed evolution. What began as political coercion became strategic brilliance. What began as suspicion became alliance. What began as survival became something greater. Not conquest. Not submission. Unity. And in the quiet glow of a foreign world that no longer felt foreign, I realized something simple. We had not been forced into marriage. We had been forced into understanding. And the galaxy, for once, had underestimated humanity and the alien general who chose to stand beside it.